people.
Welcome back to another vlog. It is vlogmas number 7, and today Stephen is joining me for a little Q&A.
Unfortunately, I am here.
Unfortunately for you, or unfortunately for them?
Unfortunately for you.
I pulled some questions from Instagram, so if you want to be part of future videos like this, make sure to follow me there. All right, first question. What are y'all's thoughts on getting married young? So when we got married, I was 21. And Stephen was 24. You had just graduated college.
Yes, and then like my side of the family was like, ooh, you guys are pretty young. Like, so I had kind of had that opinion, but like, would you say that you had that opinion on your side?
I think for my side of the family, it was more normalized. I think part of that is like coming from a religious family, and also just like my parents got married young, so it was more normalized. I think looking back on it, I feel like I was a baby.
Yes. I felt like a baby at 24 getting married.
And I felt so like grown up and like just so ready for like married life. Yeah. And obviously I don't regret it because we've now been married for 7 years and we have a wonderful relationship and a wonderful family. But looking back, I do think now I've kind of, I don't know, I've just kind of realized that I was in a little bit of a rush back then. Yeah. And like, what was my rush?
Yeah. Well, like at the time I was super committed and I was like, I want to do this. But like looking back on it, like, yeah, I guess the risk for things not working out, it was higher. I think we got lucky and it was great for us. Yeah,
I think that's a good way to put it. I feel like
the risk for it not going well was higher because of it.
But we lucked out.
Yeah, it worked out in our favor. That's how I look at it. I don't know.
But I do think now, having kids, I would maybe take more of the perspective of like, take your time. Like, there's no rush, you know? No rush. Like, move in together, see how it goes, and...
Yeah, and right, so I felt like it was young, but I didn't feel rushed. It was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Maybe naive is a better word.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think we were a little naive. But I think ultimately, like, being someone who did get married young, I fully understand, like, the appeal, especially when you're in that stage of life where you're kind of at a crossroads and you're wanting to, like, build a life with your partner. But I think now the way I look at it is, like, it's great that we were able to build a life together, an amazing marriage from such a young age, but you can do life together without being married.
Yeah.
Favorite change you've seen in your relationship over the years or since marriage?
Since marriage is in the unit of years, so...
7.5 years.
7.5.
And 11 years since our first date. I think in that same vein from the first question, because we have been together for so many formative years of our lives, we have gotten to see each other go through a lot of big changes. And I think for me, my favorite change that I've seen in you is just like your confidence grow. Like when we met, you were a little more reserved and shy and just not as sure of yourself. And now you're like a very confident person. You're very sure of who you are. And it's been cool to see that change happen. Even just like you as like a leader in your job and like doing more like public speaking and stuff and presentations, like that kind of stuff used to terrify you.
Yeah.
And now you thrive.
My answer's really boring. Just like, oh, so you need to become a mom. But I think if I had to choose like the greatest change, seeing you fall into this mom role has been endlessly enriching. So, kind of a boring answer, but that's what I would pick.
Do y'all feel like your family is complete? Sorry if it's rude, I'm just nosy. There were a lot of questions in that vein, so...
I feel like that's a good way to word it, though.
Yes, like, it's okay if you don't want to answer this, because it is, personal, but we're
I was talking about the complete thing.
The what? Oh, complete.
I like that use of the word, complete. I feel like we're pretty complete.
Yes.
You never know what's going to happen, but we're feeling complete, and that's a good way of wording it.
Yes, and we both have, like, over and over again, I feel like since Alice has been born, like, checked in with each other of, like, no, this feels, like, perfect.
Further and further reaffirming of the vibe, which the vibe is complete. So.
Yes. We both feel really good about being a family of 4, and I feel like just since Alice has been born, our family dynamic to me does feel complete.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're happy. But, you never know.
You never know.
You never know. Whether intentionally or unintentionally.
My parents said they were done with 2, and there's 3 of us, so. All right, next question. Biggest thing you've learned about each other now as parents together? I think it's something I've always known about you and something I've always loved about you, but it's grown so much watching you parent our kids. You're incredibly nurturing. And you really...
Nurturing. What does that even mean?
You're really caring. And you really go out of your way to accommodate people. And I especially have seen you do this with, like, the women in your life. Like, with your mom, with my grandma, with my mom. Like, you're really nurturing. And you're really, like, you're always the person to, like, offer to walk my grandma to her car. And you've always been that way. And it's something that made me... That was something that was a green flag from the beginning for me with you. Of, like, this is someone that I want to build a life with. And the way that that has manifested in you as a parent, you will go to the ends of the earth to like care for our kids and like meet them where they're at, and it's really cool. And I think it is going to set the standard super high for them in like what is and isn't acceptable in their lives, and I love that.
I mean, so I would say your patience, unwavering patience, which I definitely did not see before the kids, and I mean that not in a bad way. But like with the kids, you have just demonstrated this like unwavering patience at all times, and that's been crazy because I definitely don't have that flatline patience, and it's been kind of inspiring to watch happen. And like, you know, that you're always this like kind of consistent mom for the girl, especially Grace in her little 3-year-old world. So I'd say that's something that new kind of came out.
Good answer.
Not as good of it.
No, that's a great one. Okay, do you see content creation as your long-term job? I feel like this one is obviously more targeted to me, but I'm interested to have you weigh in on it too, because I feel like over the past couple years, it's just been kind of like a gradual scaling back, you know? Mm-hmm. So that less of my life is work and more of my life is pouring into the kids, especially at this age. And that's a trend that we're, you know, intentionally continuing with going into this next year. Yeah. And I think I'm moving in the direction of like content creation being less of my job, and it hasn't been my full-time job since the kids were born, because I've moved to working, you know, at first it was like 2.5 days a week and then 2 days a week, and now it's like a day or a day and a half. And
the trend has been going down in like hours, and
that's what I want. I feel like now it's less of like a full-time job for me like it once was, and more of like a side hustle.
Side hustle kind of belittles what you do a little bit, but I think the best way to describe it is just like over time you have decreased.
Yeah. Okay, how do you feel about the age gap between your girls? I love the age gap. We have a just under 3-year gap between the kids. Love it. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I was leaning more towards like a 2-year age gap, but you know, I think 3 was a great compromise. So.
Yeah, and I think what's been really great about this age gap for me as a parent has been just Grace's level of understanding when Alice was born. Like, we didn't have to deal with as much like jealousy or not understanding why, you know, now I have to take care of this baby. Like, Grace was very ready and excited for a sibling, and just at her, you know, level of understanding when Alice was born, she got it. And that made it easier to accommodate.
I think those kind of answers depend widely on the kid.
Yeah.
I think any age Grace would have been a great sibling. So
yeah.
I think 3 worked out for us as parents great, and then I think it also worked out great with how Grace is as a kid.
Yeah, and I think they're still close enough in age that they, especially as Alice is, you know, growing and developing, that they can play together still.
Yeah, I feel like I can answer that question more accurately when everyone is like 20. I can look back on it more completely, but at the 8-month-old,
going well.
It seems like things are going well.
I mean, I know I had a big fear in having a second kid that I wouldn't be able to split my time well, and that like on one side, I would be missing out on things with Grace because now I'm, you know, taking care of an infant, but also that I wouldn't be able to give my infant this undivided attention that I did because I also have a toddler. For me, at least, actually, once I was in it, I never really felt that. It felt really natural in the way that we settled into it, and I think that's like such a common fear as a parent, and I wish I would have just not overthought it so much in pregnancy, because I was so scared. And it really ended up being kind of like a nothing thing. Yeah. Do your religious, political, and social justice views always align 100%? If not, what's your approach?
My initial reaction is no, not everything's 100%. What I would say is like we're on the same like kind of side of the spectrum of things. Like, you know, if we're not exactly aligned, we're usually on the same page.
Yeah.
And then like the differences there like are fairly small, and it's like when it comes to respecting each other and things like that, like understanding where we come from. But yeah, I would say there's nothing too drastic.
Yeah. I feel like there's also the element of having been together for so long and gotten together when we were so young, our views have changed and adapted as we've learned and grown. It's super helpful that we do align on most things, and you know, where we don't align, we always have respect for each other, but also like giving each other like the space to figure out our changing beliefs, you know?
Yeah. And I would also say, like, even just our answer is a lot deeper than I feel like my reality is. Yeah. Like, this is not... Maybe the better way to answer this question is, like, this is something we don't think about.
Right. It just works.
It just works. Like, there is no philosophical answer to that question. It's just, like, it just works. Like, I think as a result, of us being on the same like side of the spectrum, it just works.
Yeah.
And like there literally is no other thought to that.
Yeah.
Right. It's boring, but I think it's the reality, right?
Right. Yep, we're both big lefties. There's your answer. Unexpected joys of parenthood. For me, my first thought when I saw this question was, because this is something that I feel like we will lock eyes on when it happens and be like, yes! When there's something that you have like really worked hard to ingrain in your child, or something that you say to them, or like a coping technique that you've really taught them on how to like step back and, you know, take a deep breath and calm yourself down, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you see them do it on their own without your prompting. It's like, oh,
and it can be,
it's working.
And it could be like something cool, like coping technique, or it could be something really dumb and just like something you
like a joke that you've made and then they repeat.
Something they take away, and like you can now say like, oh my god, that's like part of their thinking now. Like,
right.
There's been some things where I'm like, ah! Yeah, that's definitely my favorite part.
How does Steven feel being the only guy? Because you've got a wife, 2 daughters, and 2 female dogs.
So it makes for a great joke. It is fun to play that up, but I love it. I don't know. I have no complaints or issues with it, but it is a fun thing to joke on every once in a while.
Okay, this was asked a lot. Is Steven interested in running with you?
Oh, yes. So I think there's 2 parts to this. One, I actually have like some feet issues where I have been instructed to not do high impact exercises, which includes running. So I can like, when I'm in the gym or something, I'm encouraged to do things like ellipticals or walking on a treadmill with incline. But generally running is considered a high impact foot thing, so I have been encouraged to not do it. These are foot issues I've had since high school. That's one part of it. Second part of it is like, with that time, I usually find time for other things. So even if I didn't have that issue, I probably wouldn't be running. But maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to answer that. But I would say generally, right now, I'm kind of putting time into some other stuff, like other personal projects and things like that, or any kind of, you know, side consulting stuff. When it comes to the exercise itself, running is typically an exercise I don't do.
Yeah, he can't. I wish you could run with me.
Yes. It would be fun. Like, because like there's sometimes like go run this 5K or something. Like, yeah, that'd be fun. Little thing like the turkey trot. But yeah, I lean away from that.
Yeah. Doctor's orders. Is there anything you don't agree with each other on parenting wise?
Well, we definitely don't agree on everything. So yeah. But anything big? No.
I feel like it's less like disagreeing on parental philosophies and more so just like we have different approaches because we're different people. Yeah, you know,
there's no big answer to this.
I feel like one of the biggest things, and I feel like I'm gradually pulling you over to my side, is being a little bit helicoptery, right? Oh, don't do that. Oh, don't. And I'm like, go, climb the thing.
Yes.
Run.
That is a way more fun example because it's way more obvious.
Yeah, it's more cut and dry.
I am way more helicoptery than Sierra is. Like, Sierra's fun with roughhousing, tossing kids around, and I'm like, ooh, careful. But I think early on, around Grace was like, I don't know, year and a half. I remember I started observing things. I was like, oof, like she's probably acting in this way or that because of the way I've told her to do things. And that was like a wake-up call for me. So since then, completely leaning the other way, like learning to like, I'm not comfortable, but I'm going to look the other way because this is for the better of her development.
Steven came in the room and Grace and I were playing, like, you know, we were like roughhousing. She was climbing on my back and I'm trying to like flip her off. And Steven goes, this is giving me anxiety, but I don't want to put this onto her, so I'm just going to walk out of the room.
You gotta live life, and that's, yeah. It was cool because I got to see a little bit coming up. And so now with Alice, I'm like, Alice, go cause havoc, get boo-boos.
Yeah.
Learn how the world works. Don't be scared to explore it.
Okay, this is such a Steven question. I had to include it. Hilton Honors Card, tips and tricks. The people want to know your Hilton secrets.
There is no secrets. So it's all the credit cards. So it depends on how you use your rewards for a credit card. For us, as a family, Hilton was a great place to have rewards in. It's probably where we get most of our value and things like that. So,
Steven's New Year's resolution was to game the system of Hilton points.
Not game. You're not gaming anything.
Okay.
It's just lean into
Capitalize.
it. Capitalize.
Yes.
So there's different credit cards. There's 3 different Hilton credit cards. You know, we have the mid-tier for most things, and then we'll also have the next tier for other things. And, you know, making sure that when you get things like a free night stay, you use that somewhere where the redemption is great. When you use points, using those at places that are slightly above average redemption, and using cash when it's not, great redemption. But the key thing is you have to be good with a credit card. Because if you're not good with a credit card, it all goes down the drain.
Then those points are
Those
meaningless.
points are not worth the interest.
Okay, this was a really common question. A lot of people want to know why we parent in shifts.
Yeah, so one, that's kind of a funny question.
It is, because I feel like tap each other in and out.
So the way I would word this more. So one, we work a lot. And that does bleed into evenings, weekends with things, right?
Mm-hmm.
On both of us. And then two, we also, in my opinion, do a good job at making sure we get some quiet time. You know, whether that's a rough day and, hey, I need to go take an hour on the weekends. You know, usually try to get an hour or two here and there. We do a good job at that, which I like because that is important to me. That really comes out on camera because I bet the only time we ever pick up the camera individually is when we get a moment for ourselves to walk away.
Right, I think...
So whether that's Sierra working on the weekend, she takes the camera, I'm with the kids, I think it comes across bigger that way.
Yeah, I think the most common time that I'm going to pick up the camera is, okay, Steven's with the kids, I'm going to, do something, and so this is an opportunity for me to vlog and have it just be me. And so I think a lot of the time when I am getting those moments to pick up the camera is when we're, if you want to call it shifts, taking our individual time. But I feel like it's always something that's kind of, we're figuring out the balance of, right? Is, okay, we want to get each other personal time. Sometimes each of us needs time for work or a project around the house, but we also want to have time together all as a family. So I feel like right now we have a really good balance of it. I feel good about it. But yeah, I feel like it's less of the shifts in real life than you see on camera.
I almost find that question surprising, but it makes sense, I think, from the context of watching through those lenses.
Okay. Does Steven like musical theater?
I love that I've never had to answer this. Do I love musical theater?
Is it love or like?
Like. I do like musical theater. Do I love it like Sierra does? No. Do I hate it? Definitely not. I just like it. I enjoy the arts, right? Like, arts are good, and musicals are arts. And do I want to listen to it all day? No. But do I enjoy going to see one? Yes. Right?
That's a great way to put it. You like it a normal amount.
Yes, I enjoy the arts.
I like it an abnormal amount.
Yes. Yes. It seems like Grace is heading that direction.
Oh, so. And I'm so happy. We were in the car yesterday, and Grace from the backseat goes, "Hey, Mom, do you want to play Dancing Through Life and sing along in different parts?" Steven's like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that you appreciate theater. And I'm especially grateful to Steven's parents who raised him taking him to see live theater.
Yeah.
So.
I saw tons of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I also just think it's cool to have passions. So, clearly musical theater, and now you and Grace are very passionate about it. So it's fun to see that and be part of that and, have fun with it.
What is your favorite show that you've seen?
Come From Away. I like that one a lot.
That was an amazing show. How are the dogs doing in their senior years?
They are somehow doing relatively great.
They're old. They're sweet little old ladies. They're both graying. Bella is, I feel like, still has a little bit of that young dog in her, although she has a little bit of a limp now. Bruiser is blind and probably deaf.
Nope, not blind. Other way around.
Have you seen her cataracts?
They're bad, but she's definitely not blind. She's definitely deaf. That girl can't hear anything. Vision appears to be good, but all visual metrics seems like that's going to go down. They're doing great, though.
Yeah, for their age. We don't know exactly how old they are because they're both rescues, but based on the estimates that we got when I adopted them, Bruiser's probably about 13 or 14, and Bella would probably be about 12.
Yeah.
So they're getting up there.
They still love life.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And we love them, and the kids love them, and...
They like that. Grace is older now.
Yes.
They can be buddies with Grace.
And Grace, one of Grace's chores, too, is to feed the dogs, and that has made them like her even more. What does Steven do for work?
I feel like I answer this every year.
You do.
I am a software engineer, so I do beep boop. I write code. I'm in corporate America. Definitely far from Schultzzie land.
And Steven is hybrid in office and from home, so on the at-home days like this, it's nice when I can steal him for a lunch break.
But then, in the context of Schultzzie, I am very much involved with Schultzzie stuff. So obviously, it pop in on the vlogs. I do a lot of the behind the scenes, computer admin stuff. So working with accounting, taxes, kind of the financial guy.
Yes.
So handle that part of the business, and any kind of compliance and things like that. And then I also have done some consulting in my like software side.
Okay, last question. Where is the first place you'd like to travel as a family outside of America? So the first place we're going to travel outside of the U.S. is we have a big family trip next summer to Alaska, and part of that is we're going to be stopping over in Canada.
Yep.
So other than that, I really want to go to Japan with the kids, but I want to wait until Alice is a little bit older. And I also really would love to go back to Italy, but with them, because we went to Italy together. What was that? 2019?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a specific spot, but yeah, like Canada and then, you know, Mexico. I don't have an answer. Traveling more than a few hours is intimidating to me right now with kids. Getting to the other side of the country is probably the step one.
That's where I'm like, I think when Alice is Grace's age, that would be like the perfect time to start doing bigger, like long haul flights, international trips.
Yep, I agree. I personally have not traveled a lot. So I'd say I'm still not even myself kind of in that domain of thinking.
All right, you guys, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you for doing this with me.
That was fun.
See you again next year. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.